Mic test 1 2. Mic test 1 2.
Good. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening. Those of you that are here attending the meeting in person and those that are joining us remotely. Today is Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. We are here for a regular school board meeting of the Harlandale trustees. We are going to start with the thought of the day and the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Garcia? There she is.
Well, good evening, Board President, Ms. Cavazos, Harlandale ISD Board of Trustees, Superintendent Mr. Soto, Cabinet members, and Harlandale community members. I would like to welcome you to Armando Leal Middle School, home of the Apaches. So reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge in Spanish is Liliana Delgado, 8th grade dual language student and NJHS officer. So you're already standing. All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for the Texas Pledge. Honra la bandera de Texas. Te juro lealtad, Texas, un estado bajo Dios, único e indivisible.
Yes. So the thought of the day, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Mahatma Gandhi. And so I do leave you with a little suggestion by my boss. Today we had 98% attendance.
Ms. Garcia, you had 4 8th graders absent only? Only 4.
What a way to start a meeting. Thank you, Ms. Garcia, for that. It is now 6:18. I'm calling the meeting to order. We will use our electronic devices to take roll call of those trustees that are present right now. Okay, we can close the voting now. I'm not sorry, not the voting, the roll call. Everybody here is present, except for Ms. Ortiz. She is taking care of a family matter. Will be here shortly. We will make sure to account for her attendance when she arrives. Moving on to agenda item C, Mr. Soto.
Yes, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, HISD Community. This evening, we have our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance, Mr. Flores.
Here.
We have our Executive Director of Operations, Dr. Hinojosa.
Here.
We have our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Ms. Casey.
Here.
And we have our Executive Director of Human Resources, Dr. Salinas.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Moving on to agenda item 3, the board will conduct a public hearing regarding the district superior achievement rating on the financial integrity rating system of Texas for 12 months ending June 30th, 2024. Mr. Soto, is that Mr. Flores?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Soto, Superintendent of Schools and Community. Thank you for being here. This is to conduct the public meeting, public hearing for the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, or FIRST, for the school year 24-25 based on 23-24 data. Before I move on to the presentation, I would like to take a moment to thank the team that has worked together with me to make sure that we continue to sustain this achievement. The district received a superior rating, continue to sustain the rating from previous school years, And it's really a team effort. It's a continuation, different departments that work together to put this together. So thank you to all. The purpose of the financial accountability rating system, the primary goal is for schools first is to improve the management of school districts' financial resources. The district's rating is based upon an analysis of staff and student data reported for the 23-24 school year and budget and actual financial data for the 2024 school year. It ensures that the districts will be held accountable for the quality of their financial management practices and achieved improved performance in the management of their financial resources. The financial management rating has 21 indicators, and it follows an A through F, really accountability, an A, anything over a 90, a B is 80, between 80 and 89, a C, 70 to 79, and a F, it's for substandard achievement. Again, the district received an A rating, 98 points out of the 100 points possible.
Mr. Soto, if you don't mind, if I can ask Mr. Flores, for those of us that are out there watching us at the meeting tonight, what does that mean for the district? Year after year that we get this superior rating, what does it mean?
It keeps us in good standing with TEA. It keeps us in good standing when we're looking at our financial ratings. Every 2 years, we have an analysis from the different credit ratings, and they ask us and they look to make sure that we're telling them the correct information on what our ratings are. So it really helps us stay true to our constituents, to what the money is being used for, and we'll go through the different indicators of where the points were gained.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. I appreciate that. This is not our money. It is the money of the community. And for us to continue to receive superior achievement means we are clear, transparent, and we are doing things right.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Mr. Flores.
Moving on, we'll go through the different indicators. The first one was the complete annual financial report and data submitted to TEA within 30 days of the November 27th or January 28th deadline, depending on the school district's fiscal year ending. Our district ends June 30th, so we did submit the report. We did submit the report on November 19th, 2024 within the allowable timeframe. The district received an unmodified opinion on the annual financial report on the financial statements as a whole. So again, the district did receive an unmodified opinion, which means that the auditors did not find any material weaknesses in our reporting or our financials. Was the school district in compliance with the payment terms of all debt agreements at fiscal year end? And again, the district was made all debt payments according to the payment terms. So we are making our payments on time, and that is also a factor in these ratings. The fourth indicator, did the school district make timely payments to TRS, Texas Workforce Commission, Internal Revenue Service, and other government agencies? Again, the district continues to make all those payments to the different agencies on time, and that ceiling was passed. Was the total unrestricted net asset balance, which is the net of the accretion of interest for capital appreciation bonds and the governmental activities column in the statement of net assets, greater than zero? And yes, the district's total unrestricted net balance in the statement of assets was greater than zero. Was the average change in the assigned and unassigned fund balance over the 3 years less than 25% decrease? District had a change in fund balance of 0.16, which is within the allowable of under negative 0.25. Was the number of days of cash on hand and current investments in the general fund for the school district sufficient to cover operating expenses? The district, at the time of we closed this school year, the number of days on cash on hand and current investments in the general fund was 180.5. Was the measurement of current assets to current liabilities ratio for the school district sufficient to cover short-term debt? And again, the measure of current assets to current liabilities is 3.95, which was greater than the allowable 3.0 to obtain the full 10 points. Did the school district's general fund revenues equal or exceed expenses? If not, was the school district's number of days cash on hand greater than or equal to 60 days? This indicator, both of them, it was yes, we did have more than the 60 days, and we also increased, our revenues were higher than their expenses by $5,207,980. Indicator 10 was not being evaluated this year. Indicator 11 was the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets for the school district sufficient to support long-term solvency. So the district's ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets is sufficient to continue to cover long-term solvency. Indicator 12, the district received 8 out of the 10 available points. And the question is, what is the correlation between future debt requirements and the district's assessed property value? So the district doesn't have control of our property values. So we did receive the district's debt requirements in comparison to the assessed values have a correlation of 6.52. The district obtained 8 points on this indicator. So we needed to have 7, I believe, so to be able to get the 10 points. So we're working through that. Indicator 13 was the school district's administrative cost ratio equal to or less than the threshold ratio. The district's administrative cost ratio is 0.0694, below the requirement to obtain 10 points of 0.0855. And did the school district not have a 15% decline in the students to staff ratio over 3 years? The district had a 0.1782 variation in student of staff ratio within the allowable -15 ratio for this indicator. Was the school district's ADA within the allotted range of the district's biennial pupil projection submitted to TEA? And yes, the districts had projections within the allowable 7% variation. So every 2 years, we're required to submit projections of our ADA to TEA, and this is that indicator. Did the comparison of Public Education Information System, or PIEMS, data look like information in the school district's annual financial report result in a total variance of less than 3% of all expenses by function? The variance that the district's submission was of 0.00012%. So it is far below the allowable 3%. And the district passed that measure. Did the external independent auditor report that the annual financial report was free of any instances of material weaknesses in internal controls over financial reporting and compliance for local, state, and federal funds? There was no material weaknesses in the internal controls were reported in the 23-24 audit. Did the external independent auditor indicate that the annual financial report was free of any instances of material noncompliance for grants, contracts, and laws related to local, state, and federal funds? Again, there was no material noncompliance was reported in the 23-24 audit. Indicator 19, did the school district post the required financial information on its website in accordance to the government code, local government code, Texas Education Code, Texas Administrative Code, and other statutes, laws, and rules that were in effect at the school district's fiscal year end? So all required financial information has been posted, promptly posted on the school district website, and we continue to do that. 2 more indicators. Did the school board members discuss the district's property values at a board meeting within 120 days before the district adopted its budget? So with the district staff discuss property values during a regular board meeting within 120 days prior to budget adoption, and this has been our practice to continue to do. And the last indicator, did the school district receive an adjusted repayment schedule for more than the 1 fiscal year for an overallocation of foundation school program funds because of a financial hardship? So the district has not been in a financial hardship, and we have not requested an advance from TEA. Some of the required first disclosures that we are required to present are reimbursements received by the superintendent and board members, and that is also here for review through the year June 30th of 2024. Other disclosures include outside compensation and or fees received by the superintendent for professional services for fiscal year 2024, and we don't have any gifts received by executive officers or board members, and none were reported. And again, any business transactions between school district and board members for fiscal year, and we didn't have any. Any questions?
Questions, comments, clarifications? Mr. Luna?
I just want to commend the Mr. Flores and the staff on this. I did have a question in my mind. They were resolved. Is that 2 points? The teacher meet comes out 2 points, lost 2 points. And those 2 points were basically due to the fact that that we can't really control if the Bexar County taxpayers are going to pay their taxes. So we can't really, the coefficient really can't be exact, so it's not really something we can control. So beyond that, I think we're doing an awesome job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? No? Good job, Mr. Flores, and all the other departments that help us get us to where we need to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 4, Ms. Patty, did anybody sign up for public comment? Okay, no one signed up for public comment. So we are moving on to agenda item 5, announcement. Dr. Salinas?
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Today for our announcements, we want to announce that October 13th through 17th is National School Lunch Week. Please join us in celebrating our incredible child nutrition team for keeping our Harlandale ISD students fueled and ready to learn each day. Thank you to each and every one of you for all you do to ensure everyone stays nourished. We also had last week our South Texas Business Partnership recognition. Our Harlandale Superintendent, Mr. Soto, was recently celebrated at a special reception hosted by the South Texas Business Partnership in recognition of his Superintendent of the Year honor. Community, business, and district leaders joined in on this special celebration to honor Mr. Soto's leadership and dedication. Join us in congratulating Mr. Soto once again on this well-deserved achievement. We also have our United Way campaign going on right now. We're right in the middle of it, and it's now through November 14th. Last year, our district raised $50,761 to support programs that directly benefit our community, families, and neighbors across San Antonio. This year, we're aiming for a 2% increase, building on our commitment to make an even greater impact. We'd like to thank everyone who has contributed to this cause. Every contribution matters, and our district's generosity continues to make an impact beyond our 14 square miles. Neighbors Together, another event we had, very exciting. I think they told me yesterday we had over 600 people who actually came through. We'd like to thank our entire community for joining us at this year's Neighbors Together event in support of our Harlandale ISD Police Department. We'd also like to give a special shout out to the choir, cheer, dance, mariachi, and other student performers for putting on a fantastic show. Yay, yay. Perfect attendance incentive. Attendance matters at Harlandale ISD, and our students know it. As part of a special attendance incentive, we have been offering students who make perfect attendance from Monday through Friday free admission to the following week's home game. Their commitment to being present and in their seats shows that attendance matters, both in the classroom and in the stands. A big thank you to our athletics department, campus principals, and parents for making this incentive possible for our students. Keep showing up and supporting your teams. Every day counts. Here's our average daily attendance actually for this week up till today. And you can see our enrollment today was 11,079, but most of the week it's been 11,080. And our attendance for pre-K through 12 ADA has ranged, I believe the lowest day was last Friday, 84.52%. And this week so far, we had 93.63 and 96.89. And save the date, get your calendars out, get your phones out, because these dates are very, very important. We have our Harlandale Education Golf Tournament, October the 23rd. That's going to be a very busy day for Harlandale staff and board. We have that at 8 a.m. That same night, we have District Family Night at Harlandale High School and Makerspace Open House. That same night again from 5 to 7 p.m. We also on Friday, October 31st, we have Veterans Day ceremony. That'll be at Harlandale Memorial Stadium. And I believe that's right before the football game starts. We also have our Special Olympics Frontier Bowl. That's on Tuesday, November the 4th, also Election Day. And that's at 10 a.m. at Harlandale Memorial Stadium. The very next day, we have our Harlandale Hall of Fame banquet, November the 5th at 6 p.m. That's at STEM Early College High School. And we have our 62nd annual Frontier Bowl Friday, November 7th at Harlandale Memorial Stadium. Busy, busy, busy. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I want to applaud the Harlandale community. We are one of the highest per capita per individual staff members that gives back to the United Way in the whole entire Bexar County. So round of applause for the giving nature of Harlandale ISD. Also to our child nutrition, they always get bashed about the blandness of lunches and food, but they have been so open-minded and they brought some new products to our children and they've been so happy that there are some new products. So give them that round of applause because at least they're trying, right? It's hard if I tell you to cook without sugar, right? A lot of us are going to struggle, right? And again, attendance, we keep trying to be innovative as possible to bringing our children to school. We know the importance of them being here at a seat and getting some education, right? And so I applaud the principals for trying. And again, as you can see, our Fridays and Mondays, you guys are doing superhero days, pajama days. I don't even want to walk to a campus Monday and Fridays because there's all kinds of stuff going on for you guys to bring those kids in, but keep trying. Our attendance is going up. And as we did direct the principals is if the children are from out of district and their attendance issues, they are breaking the contract. And we want kids to be in seats. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Before we move on, I want to welcome Ms. Ortiz to the meeting. Welcome, Ms. Ortiz.
Thank you, and I apologize for my tardiness.
Thank you. 6:34? Okay, thank you so much. Yes, Ms. Patty keeps us on track. Mr. Soto, I just have a comment on child nutrition. Did they consider the strawberry milk that Ms. Reese, yes, that Ms. Reese inquired? Not that we're telling you all what to do.
Well,
We're just kind of
Mr.
throwing it
Flores,
out there.
do you recall the strawberry milk? I know that was one of the recommendations.
Yes, I believe it's already back in the cafeterias. Some of the other items, and we, of course, working with the Region 20 cooperative, but some of the other items were the tamales. The students had requested tamales, and those came back. And the popular one is the loaded baked potato, is my understanding.
Madam Chair, so I just want to let the students know that in January during Board Appreciation, when we get our cards, you're welcome for your strawberry milk again.
They are open-minded, obviously, were suggestions. So thank you so much. Okay, moving on to agenda item 6, information and reports. 6A, student outcomes. Ms. Espinosa?
Good evening, Madam President and Harlandale ISD Board. I am here to talk to you today about our student outcomes for universal screening reading in first grade and second grade. So our ultimate goal by the end of the school year 2025, the percentage of our first graders reading at or above grade level using TPRI and Tejas Ley will increase from 68% to 73%. And then student outcome 2.3 is by the end of the 2025 school year, the percentage of second graders reading at or above grade level, again, as measured by TPRI and Tejas Ley, will increase from 69% to 73%. So to give you a little background, 3 times a year, we give what's called a universal screener. And what a universal screener is, it's the tools that we use to assess students' reading skills at key points of the year. We look for potential difficulties of at-risk reading, and as well as what our students can do. We give this to every student 3 times a year, regardless of their grade level or their level of reading. And that's why we call it a universal screener. But why do we use these universal screeners? The earlier we can catch them in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade is crucial because the earlier we can give them help, the more likely they'll be successful. It's really a proactive approach to reading struggles, and it lets us pinpoint exactly what a student needs and where they need support. And then, as per House Bill 3928 that was introduced 2 years ago by our government, it is a state requirement. We must track how first graders do, how kindergartners and first graders do in reading. So for our universal screeners in reading, we use the Texas Primary Reading Inventory for English and the El Inventario de Lectura en Español for Spanish. Excuse my Spanish there. But what do we screen? So we look at, what we do first is called a screener. And what the screener is that quick snapshot of students who may struggle. And so what we give in the screener is we give letter sounds in first grade. The students not only need to know what the letter is, but they need to know the sound that it makes. We test word reading in both first and second grade. And then we test blending phonemes. And what this does is students are asked to listen to individual sounds spoken separately, and they're supposed to put the word together. So for example, at, the student would say cat. So that's our screener. It's our quick snapshot. But then we go more in depth with the actual reading inventory. So we test for the inventory phonemic awareness, which is testing a student's ability to recognize and manipulate sounds and words, from identifying the first or last sound in a word to actually identifying the middle sound in a word. And then after that, we test graphophonemic knowledge, which is actually fancy words for spelling, which is understanding that the relationship between letters and sounds, the letter M or the M sound is represented by the M. That's for first and second grade. We then test word reading, which means, okay, now we know that students know sounds, they know how to spell. Now, can they actually take that knowledge and read actual words? And then we also look at comprehension and fluency. Do the students understand what they are reading? And are they reading quickly and clearly and with expression? And so with our TPRI results, at the beginning of the year, we have 16% right now of our first graders reading at grade level. And what we're seeing overall is that our decoding is consistently improving. And that's really the first step when we look, especially at first grade, if they know the letters the sounds makes, which leads to decoding, and that's improving. Our comprehension has been a little bit slower, but honestly, in first grade, that's common. We learn how to sound out our words first before we learn how to comprehend. We really work with our students at this point to start sounding out their words faster. So then they really build their vocabulary and their inferencing and ultimately all their comprehension. So what we are working on, like through the RTI lens, the response to intervention lens, is we really are emphasizing comprehension while we're still practicing the phonics skills. And our Spanish results is we've had an increase in decoding and also an increase in comprehension. And if you think about our dual language kiddos, who some of these kiddos are emergent bilingual, but every student in the dual language classroom takes the test in Spanish, whether they're emergent bilingual or non-emergent bilingual. And when we're looking at learning in two languages, decoding and comprehension are very hard to maintain in both languages. And for us to see that growth, it's something to really celebrate. And at times it's uneven, especially kinder, first, and going into second grade. But the more experience exposure they have, the better they get. Comprehension comes as they are learning more language. And what we're continuing to do in the classroom is utilizing those scaffolds so they can see the connection between English and Spanish and learn both languages. And so this is just the TPRI data by campus for the beginning of the year. And something to keep in mind is when we're looking at the beginning of the year, sometimes it seems troubling, but it's the beginning of the year. These are our 6-year-olds, right? And what's neat is to see that growth in January and then again at the end of the year. And then there's for Tejasle. And then now for second grade TPRI. We've had a little bit of a decrease on students reading at grade level, but sometimes that happens at the beginning of the year because we have what's called the summer slide. A lot of our students don't do a lot of reading in the summer. And so once we will see is already that comprehension is improving because they're now back at school. They're reading in science and social studies as well as reading class. But one of our focuses, especially in the RTI lens, is really looking at second grade instruction on tying decoding to the comprehension strategies. So our teachers will teach certain decoding skills, but then immediately tie it to text, which then they work on comprehension to make that growth. So and then with our Tejasle, which are Spanish, we did have a 1% dip in reading on grade level, again, due to the summer slide, but there is a positive comprehension growth that shows that our kiddos' comprehension skills are improving. And so our goal with the RTI lens is to really maintain a focus on decoding while tying it in to support making meaning with our dual language students to really make those connections between Spanish and English. And again, here are our second grade campuses by district. And there's the Spanish. So what are we doing as a CNI department to support our teachers at each level? So tier 1 support is the support that every single student gets, regardless of their reading level. Everyone receives tier 1. And as we know, kindergarten through 5th grade this year are implementing the Bluebonnet Reading Program, which emphasizes phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary comprehension, as well as writing. And what this program does, it is aligned through the district, K to 5, everybody is aligned in what they are teaching. So to help teachers take on this task, we have weekly PLC support meetings with every grade level through Region 20. And as well as the Harlandale reading coaches to make sure teachers are really what the program likes to call it, internalizing the lessons, which means do they really understand what they are teaching? And there are continuous classroom walkthroughs with administrators to provide feedback to not only the teachers, but the campus as a whole. So response to intervention. So before I get into what we do as a department to support our campuses and regarding response to intervention, I just want to let you all know some of our expectations as a department. We have RTI scheduled throughout the day for grades 1st through 5th. It's outside of tier 1. And the reason that's so important is because our students need their tier 1 instruction, but those students who struggle, it's important to give them additional help. We don't want to pull them out of what they're already learning. We give them an additional time. It's at least 45 minutes a day, and students receive targeted instruction in small group. So we have our RTI teachers, and then we have our dyslexia teachers, and then also classroom teachers provide support at that time as well. We are very clear on that the strategies and the materials that we use during tier 2 are different than what we use at tier 1, because if our students are struggling, they need another avenue, they need another resource to help them. And what we do at each testing point is we ask grade levels to meet together and decide, okay, who goes to the actual RTI teacher, who has dyslexia, who has to go to special ed, and then with the remaining students, the grade level groups those students by need, and each teacher works with students based on that need. And at least once every 9 weeks, we have RTI meetings where a student who is in our RTI system, we meet about their goal, their progress, if we need to adjust their goal, or if we need to give them different means to support their intervention. So some of the programs that we use in response to intervention to support 1st and 2nd grade students in phonics is we use our TPRI Interventions Activities Guide. We use a program called Savis My Focus, which does phonics as well as comprehension. We use the Florida Center for Reading Research. We also use a program called Inclusion in Texas, which deals with our foundational skills. And then last year, we piloted a new program called the University of Florida Learning Institute with our 1st grade students. And this year we're adding 2nd grade. So those students who got the support in 1st grade are getting it again in 2nd grade. And then we're picking up new 1st graders. Our RTI teachers are actually even using this program with 2nd and 3rd grade, and we're seeing a lot of growth in phonics. So with Spanish, we use the Tejasle Interventions Activities Guide. We use a program called Mi Enfoque. And then it is extremely hard to find resources to support our students in Spanish. So we have actually adopted a program called Lunita, one called Escalera, and one called Estrellitas that can be used first grade through fifth grade to help our students during response to intervention time. So the support that the RTI department provides to campuses. We assist our campus administrators and conducted targeted RTI meetings. One of the things our real goal is to look at what is the root cause of a student's struggle. So if a teacher says a student cannot read, we actually ask for more information. Are they okay in phonological awareness? Can they decode? Do they know their 6 syllables type? So we really try to get down to the reason why a student is struggling. And then based on that goal, based on that struggle, we set a goal for each student and how they can improve in a 9-week period. And then we really work with teachers on providing specific materials for the issue the student has. We also meet with campus administrators regularly to discuss their campus RTI needs. We meet with teachers during PLC time. We model our programs for the teachers, and then we provide materials professional development. We also conduct RTI walkthroughs just to give that real-time snapshot of how intervention is happening in the classroom. We really want to make sure that tier 2 and tier 3 materials that we use are aligned across campuses and the needs of our students. And then we like to look at the student engagement, how the teachers delivering the instruction, and if the strategies are being implemented as we intend. So some continued support from you all, our Harlandale School Board, just to maintain the discussions that we have about student progress during our board meetings, continue the conversations about the updated accountability with the community, continue to promote the importance of literacy within our community, actively promote Harlandale ISD as an innovative and rewarding workplace within the San Antonio and Bexar County, and also maintain and strengthen the partnerships with local universities through their teaching programs, so we can really establish Harlandale as a committed partner to really get our teachers back, our Harlandale graduates to come back and to teach in our district. Any questions?
Any questions, comments, or clarification needed? Ms. Reese?
I have a question, Madam Chair. Ms. Espinosa, are we doing anything at the elementary level to motivate or promote reading during this summer and Christmas breaks?
That's something that I will work with Ms. Garza on, with Ms. Rita Garza, but just really, I remember being a student and wanting to go to the library as soon as that last day of school was hit, right, to do the reading. So I think it's really just to work on promoting, using our library. We have a beautiful mission library in our district. So really just getting that information out to parents that we have that and our bibliotech right there by Bel Air to really just to promote that during the times that we're off.
Mr. Soto, if I may ask a question. You mentioned, Mrs. Espinosa, that it was difficult to find resources for Spanish. Is it because the difficult lies on what Bluebonnet Reading Program approves, or is it just difficult in general to find those resources?
And when I'm talking through the lens of RTI, so we do things that are other than Bluebonnet, and truly it's just having materials available to us. So we were able to find the funding to get the materials that are out there. It's just limited availability with what we have.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes,
for answering that. Anyone else have any comments or questions?
Sure.
Yes.
I just
Mr.
want to
Rhodes.
see on this data for our TPI and the Texas Ley. I know when we do the other grade levels, we compare it to STAR with the state and what the state's doing. Do we have that kind of data here, Mr. Soto, to compare how our students are doing with, I guess, equivalent districts throughout the state?
So, I'll be honest with you. We are, every district gives, depending on what the state provides to be eligible reading assessments. So we really just keep it in-house. It's not shared statewide on how others do. The only stuff that is shared statewide is our state assessments.
I would assume that even if we were to look at it, we wouldn't be comparing it equally, because not everybody's going to share it.
That's very true.
Thank you, Ms. Espinosa. Anybody else? Any comments, Mr. Martinez?
Yes, Mr. Soto, is there any way that we can get, I know it's all in percentage, but like the number of exact students that are on these charts?
Yes, that can be converted.
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Salazar.
Mrs. Espinosa, so since the district implemented PLCs and currently seeing in 2025, well, how have we seen the progression in those PLCs, and which campus would you say has had the greatest growth?
So what I notice about utilizing the PLC time is it's a time to share, of course, challenges, but also successes. And what I like to see about that is, let's say, we're a team and I'm like, hey, what are you doing to make that work? And that sharing of ideas. So then it in turn shares more growth. To be honest with you, with this year, because we've been focused so heavily on Bluebonnet, I haven't been able to participate in many PLCs yet, but I can honestly say that all 9 elementary schools are ready and willing, and teachers want to work. So I could not say that one's standing out more than the others, because it's just having that time to collaborate that I think makes a huge difference.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just wanting to know, like, I would assume that principals would be able to provide y'all feedback on like what support that they would still continue to need to be able to really drive those PLCs, to really have those professional learning communities, and then to be able to dive deep into that TPRI, Texas Lead data, to be able to continue to support.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And what really works out is when administrators are a part of that PLC. But one of the things that we do through our end is we actually do a district-wide PLC. So we talk about first grade data, we talk about second grade data, and then that way they can actually communicate with each other across the district versus just at the smaller scale on the campus level.
Mr. Soto, if I may ask a question to Mrs. Espinosa, you mentioned something and it triggered a question. When do you have that district-wide PLC? Is it in the middle of the year?
We actually offer them after each testing point. So then we will test again in January. So then, and it's like 2 weeks into January. And then that third week, we offer a couple of sessions to make sure every teacher can attend if they want to.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Anybody else?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Mancha.
I noticed that you said you're testing in Spanish. Now, we get a lot of kids from South America. Their Spanish is completely different
Yes.
than Spanish from Mexico. I know that because I got a young lady that's from Peru and that one that's from Venezuela. And just pierna is in Spanish. And they both got a different language for pierna. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a pierna. And they go, no, it's not, it's this. And I'm like, so when you say we're testing the kids all in Spanish, have we taken the time to evaluate which kids are from South America and which ones are from Mexico and where they're from? So when you send the homework home, if you're asking the parents to help them with some of the reading, they're not going to understand because you're sending it in Spanish, and if they're not speaking Spanish from Mexico, they're not going to understand a word you're saying.
Right, because it is completely different. So with what my department does is we look through the lens of actually testing the students. And then Dr. Ferron can also jump in regards to the instruction and the homework. But one of the things we make very clear is really paying attention to dialect and where they came from. So there's certain words like that it would be like, if they say this, it is still a correct answer. So we look at that through the lens of testing. It's even the same, even speaking in English in the dialect in different parts of the state, right? And how they sound. So it's as long as they know the letters and sounds, that's fine. But like I said, when Dr. Ferron speaks, he can talk to you more about the parents' support in regards to the homework and things.
Yeah, but I understand
Yeah.
that. But my concern is when you're testing these kids, you're putting them in a level that they're not doing well based on our theory of Spanish, not their theory of Spanish. So it kind of confuses me and it worries me because once you put a label on a child, that label goes with that child for the rest of his life. And you got to be cautious with that.
Right.
Because I see a lot of labeling here and it worries me because this child can be a great person in their language, but yet when it comes to English, it's difficult, especially when you're teaching them Spanish now from Mexico. So now you're getting them from one language to another. So now he's got to learn 3 languages.
And take on being in a
Yeah,
new
so
place, right?
that's what I'm saying, maybe we need to evaluate which kids are from what country before we start testing them. So, and I understand the
Right.
testing is necessary.
Right.
But,
Yeah, but
we-
speaking through the lens of RTI, one of the things that we really talk about is how long has the student been in the country? Because trust me, I don't like the labels either. So how long has the student been in the country? How are they proficient in their native language versus the language that they're learning? So we really take the time to compare. And I'll be honest with you, I was looking at one classroom and this kid was a 4th grader reading at the 6th grade level in Spanish, but his English was a little below level. But I said, we don't worry about this student. He can read in his native language. So we really take the time to look at both languages in that lens as well. Mhm.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Mrs.
Thank you, ma'am.
Espinosa. Moving on to agenda item B, 6B. Mr. Ferron?
I would like to thank the board, the district board, the superintendent, Ms. Casey, assistant superintendent, and the whole, the complete senior staff for all the support that you have provided for our bilingual program. It's amazing the level of support that we receive within the district. So thank you so much. So it's a privilege for me to present the evaluation for the bilingual ESL program for school year 24-25. One thing that I would need to mention, we were discussing it before we start the meeting, is the natural growth that emerging bilinguals are exhibiting across the nation, across the state, and of course across our district. In state data, you can see that from 2023 to 2025, the percentage of students identified as emerging bilinguals in the state grew from 21 to 24%. Likewise, the number of students of emerging bilinguals being served in Texas schools, the national percentage of students grew from 1 of 5 to 1 of 4. So that means that almost 25% of all the emerging bilingual students in the United States attend a school in Texas. And that also brings an increase in the percentage of students who are dual identified, that are identified as emerging bilinguals, but also participate in receiving special education services. So if we look at the numbers in Harlandale, we can see that exponential growth. We can see that in the 2021 school year, emerging bilinguals represented only 16.3%, and there were 2,042 students identified as emerging bilinguals. And by 25-26, the current school year, tentatively that number will be a little bit over 2,550 students. So that will represent approximately 23% of all the student population in Harlandale ISD. If we can see the growth in our pre-K enrollment is significantly high. We can see that in the 24-25 school year, there were a total of 2,250, it's a 0 missing, representing 27% of the student population. And for school year 25-26, we have 2,550 students representing 44%. I'm sorry, there's a wrong, it's 255, the 0 is the one extra, representing 44% of the students in the pre-K levels. So you can see how the bilingual program has increased from 1,758 students participating in dual language in 2024 to 1,812 students participating in dual language in the current school year. Likewise, students participating in the English as Second Language ESL program in the secondary schools grew from 994% to 1,010 students. But perhaps the most important growth was in the number of reclassified students. Last year, we had 121 students identified as reclassified in our school district. For the 2025 school year, we have 192 students identified as reclassified as English proficient. And why this is so important? Because one thing that you're going to see is the extreme outperformance that reclassified students exhibit. And before we move, I want to bring forward one very important change that TEA is bringing forward in regards to the identification of emergent bilingual students, ELPS, and implementation of the TELPAS assessment. So as you know, currently we have 4 different levels in TELPAS and in ELPS. The current proficiency levels are beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced high. Starting next year, it will move to 5. So starting next year, ELPS and TELPAS will have 5 proficiency levels, including pre-production. That is a critical role. Many of our students participate or take part in this pre-production. It's what we used to call the silent period. They are understanding part of what it's been mentioned in the other language, but they aren't able to produce. It takes time for students to develop the skill to start producing or pre-producing language. Then we have beginning, intermediate, and you see that now the intermediate has intermediate and advanced and high intermediate. And then we have advanced, and we no longer have advanced high. The measurement of proficiency levels into a more realistic standard, because there was this false expectation that the students should have been moving from one proficiency level every year. And that was a false expectation. We know by research that it takes from 4 to 7 years to accomplish that feat. So now the state is giving us 5 years to reach that level of proficiency that it's more adjust to what the reality of second language acquisition requires. So going back to the outperformance of our students reclassified, previously emergent bilingual students reclassified as English proficient. So as you can see that on average, district-wide in 3rd to EOC standardized assessments, STAR EOCs, in any of the content areas, there's always a limited underperformance of emergent bilingual students. One, because many of those tests are delivered exclusively in English beyond 5th grade. And also because there's a consistency of insisting of the kids testing in English instead of really testing in the language that they can do best. But you can see the 3rd column represents the emergent bilingual students who have been reclassified, who have met that reclassification criteria. And you can see that they are performing almost at 100%. That means that each and every student, or almost every student in every grade level, are meeting the standards of the test. And that's just amazing. That means that our emergent bilingual students reclassified are among our top performing students in the district. So our goal is, as a bilingual program, is to make sure that each and every student participating in dual language has the opportunity to reach those levels and be able to reclassify before graduating from high school. We have talked a lot about dual language. Definitely the adoption of dual language has been critical. You can see that across grade levels, again, third grade to EOC star data, our bilingual dual language program significantly outperforms our students participating in ESL. In regards to TELPAS, we can see, if we see the composite proficiency rating, we might get in the understanding or false understanding that we are meeting compliance, that we are there, because our students in year 5 or year 6 and below and beyond are meeting that 50 percentile or above in meeting the advanced or advanced high level. However, we need to expedite that. We need to really accelerate that process. But now that it's going to expand into 5 different categories, it will allow us to face it better, and it will allow us to gradually provide that increase. If we analyze each one of the areas, we can see that definitely our most best performing area is listening, basically because that's what most of the kids are doing all day long. They're listening to their peers, they're listening to their teachers. They're passive receivers of English. Reading, there were some questions about reading skills of our students. You can see that reading, it's also an area that it's not really a great concern for us. It shows that our reading interventions are being effective. And definitely, I think that with the adoption of Bluebonnet and the Spanish pilot of Bluebonnet and the program that we are creating, crafting within the school district, our reading levels are gonna significantly increase. Now, of course, writing. Writing is a critical area that we need to expand. And again, Bluebonnet provides ample opportunities for the students to engage in not only reading, but also writing about what they are reading. But we really need to expedite our opportunities, provide ample opportunities for our students to engage in speaking the language. Students need to move beyond being just passive learners in the classroom, and they must consistently engage in speaking, having ample opportunities to produce language, both in English and in Spanish. And that's part of what we have been providing, the training that we have been providing our students. Before I move forward, I would like to answer or try to answer some of the questions that were posed, specifically in regarding to how do we address the linguistic differences within the same language. What you were mentioning about kids from South America or Central America that might have different meanings for different words. So one of the things, during the summer, we provided training to our students, to our teachers, and one was about culturally relevant pedagogy and how to validate the different linguistic differences that they have, that our students have across our families, across our community. Validating, celebrating that language and incorporating that language during their instruction. Definitely, we want to see the students from a holistic perspective, not only as a score as how they're doing in English or in Spanish, but seeing holistically. And that is why it's so important for us to have these screeners. And I would really like to appreciate Ms. Espinosa. She did a tremendous job in getting materials for our bilingual students, but also getting these screeners. Now we have the Star Renaissance available in English and Spanish from pre-K all the way up to 8th grade. And that will allow us to really see how our emerging bilingual students are developing those 2 languages. Because as she mentioned, one key element is making sure that our students are able to read. And when the students are able to read in their first language, that will facilitate the development of the second language. So definitely making sure that our students are progressing in both languages, that's our task. That's the beauty and the difference that a dual language program brings. That we are really aiming to develop biliteracy and bilingualism among all our students participating in the program. So I don't know if I answered your question, but if you have more questions at the end of the presentation, I'll be glad to answer your questions. Now, very important is to be able to provide service to our students, we need the faculty. We need the teachers to be fully certified, fully prepared to meet the linguistic, emotional, and social needs of our emerging bilingual families and students. That's why the state has created this bilingual waivers, bilingual exception and ESL waivers application. So any school district that is unable to hire enough appropriately certified teachers must request an exception in case of the bilingual education program or a waiver in case of the ESL program. And one data that you can see is that every year our numbers are just increasing. And they are just increasing by the same reason, because our population of emerging bilingual students is just increasing. So we need to be very intentional in the hiring and in the recruiting of teachers who are bilingual and they're bilingual certified. As you can see, in 2022, 2023, only 3 elementary campuses required a bilingual exception, and that only for 3 teachers. Today, for this school year, we're going to be requesting bilingual exceptions for 6 elementary campuses and 13 bilingual teachers. Likewise, in ESL, we went from 5 campuses and 53 teachers in 22-23 to 8 secondary campuses and 27 teachers. The numbers significantly decreased because of the expansion of the dual language program. Because we're applying, by applying to the waivers and the exception and waivers application, we must submit a comprehensible professional development plan. So we have already the professional development plan in place. Key elements is supporting teachers, current teachers seeking bilingual education or ESL certification in collaboration with institutions like Region 20. Provide specialized training in content-based language instruction, culturally relevant pedagogy, and biliteracy development. Provide job-embedded professional development and coaching support. Our 2 facilitators have been trained so they can provide coaching and job-embedded PD to our teachers. We have been going to the campuses to model the different practices that are required for an effective bilingual education program, and also provide opportunities for teachers to attend bilingual education conferences. In the next couple of days, next week, we're going to be attending the Texas Association for Bilingual Education Conference in the area of Dallas. Likewise, we are required to submit a comprehensive bilingual ESL recruitment plan. So the plan includes, again, support for current teachers in completing bilingual and ESL certification requirements, offering competitive stipends to recruit certified bilingual teachers. There is a significant scarcity of bilingual teachers across the state. According to TABET data, there's approximately more than 20,000 bilingual classrooms across the state of Texas that don't have a bilingual teacher. So we're not the only ones looking for teachers, and therefore we need to make sure that the stipends that we're offering are competitive so we can recruit the teachers that we need for our district. In collaboration with HR, with Human Resources Department, we have attended college job fairs to specifically recruit fully ESL and bilingual endorsed teachers. as mentioned, we're attending bilingual education conferences to recruit teachers. And since last year, we started this collaboration with the VIT, Visiting International Teachers Program, to recruit highly qualified bilingual teachers from Spain. We currently have 5 teachers from Spain that are doing a wonderful job in our elementary schools. Last but not least, I would like to mention and really recognize the wonderful job that 12 dual language teachers have been doing in this Bluebonnet curriculum writing project. As previously mentioned, the state, we participated in this Bluebonnet program, so we have materials in English and we have materials in Spanish. But in both cases, they are materials designed for monolingual students in mind. They're designed for English speakers that are developing only English, or Spanish speaking, developing only Spanish. They are not materials designed specifically for a dual language student. They are not designed for emergent bilingual students who are developing 2 languages simultaneously. So the task, and we are one of the 3 only districts in the state of Texas who are crafting their own curriculum. Many other districts embraced the pilot, but they don't have a team creating a curriculum. So this implies 6 different grade levels. So during 4 summer weeks, the teachers participating in creating the initial curriculum, but that has become an ongoing effort that integrates, as I mentioned, the Bluebonnet curriculum, English and Spanish, the biliteracy framework, key practices that are mandated by the Texas TA dual language framework, includes content-based language instruction, and of course, all these aligned to the model, to the time allotted by the Harlandale ISD dual language allocation plan. The final product is, or aim is to generate more than 60 Bluebonnet aligned biliterate units with more than 600 high quality biliterate lessons. So again, I would like to recognize those 12 teachers. They have done an amazing job. So once again, thank you so much for all the support. And if you have any questions, I will be glad to answer.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Ferron? Ms. Ortiz?
Yes, Madam President. Mr. Soto, we're going to be approving or considering for approval the submission of the state waiver for the exception for the bilingual education program and the ESL waivers. And I want to know, is it specific to the position or is it specific to the person? So if we get a waiver, can that person take their waiver and go to another school district, or is it specific, it's going to stay here at the school district, not specific to the person, so they can leave with it? Because there are so many vacancies throughout Bexar County.
The waiver is specific to the district. So yes, and to the campus. So yes, it mentions the name of the teacher, but it's just to justify that we have that teacher in place and that teacher is going to be prepared to meet the needs. But the waiver is granted to the district.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Ferron? I actually have a question, if I may, Mr. Soto. The comprehensive development plan and that for the recruitment plan, out of curiosity, are they different than the ones we submitted last year or last time?
No, they're pretty much consistent because we want to have that consistency of implementation. It takes time in the recruitment. I mean, again, we were able to recruit a significant number of new teachers, but the mobility, and yes, we're experiencing that situation that we have this mobility where we have many teachers that because of differences in salaries or stipends, they decide to go some other school district. But I would like to recognize what Dr. Salinas has done as HR. They have done an amazing job in recruiting teachers. I know that it's not easy. But definitely, I think that one thing that really helped was bringing 5 teachers from Spain. So we're looking forward also to continue that. And perhaps beefing up those participations in the job fairs that we go specifically to the Rio Grande Valley.
Thank you, Mr. Ferron, for that. Any other questions or comments, Mr.
Madam
Manager?
Chair, oh,
I'll
ahead.
take Ms.
go ahead, Mr. Luna.
I was gonna notice that, even though in, one of the slides mentions last year we had to do 12 classrooms, I believe. If you look at our Texas Lab report, those kids still did an awesome job without a bilingual certified teacher. So that should be noted that our kids that are bilingual are best with bilingual. We used to say blessed with bilingual brains. And so that's an awesome job they're doing without certified teachers in that classroom, just to mention to the community.
I would like to add to Mr. Board Member about the effectiveness of the teachers, even if they are not certified. What the state data and our district data shows is that they're almost equally effective. The teachers, all the teachers, certified and non-certified, were trained consistently during the summer, and they're, yes, doing an amazing job.
Thank you, Mr. Ferron. Mr. Mancha?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Mr. Soto, have we thought of putting a bilingual program in other secondary schools?
I believe Dr. Ferron has been knocking the door for a while. We've held back as of right now, just because we're afraid we're not gonna be able to staff it.
Well, looking at the numbers, the increasing numbers that are coming up for the bilingual dual language, I mean, it seems like it's gonna be pretty hard not to knock down that door, and if Mr. Ferron needs a little bit of help, I might have to help him.
Yeah, it looked like 50% of our pre-K, right?
Yes, sir, because I mean, our numbers are increasing, and but by the time we know it, you know, the sooner the way I see it, the sooner the better. So, and to Mr. Ferron, if I may, sir, is anybody of that staff that's helping you develop that program here?
Unfortunately, no, sir. I don't see any of the teachers who participated. But definitely, I would send you the list of the names of the
Yeah,
teachers.
please let them know that they're really appreciated. I mean, that it takes a lot of work. My wife was a bilingual teacher for 30 years. Her last year, they took her off the bilingual program, yet they still gave her bilingual kids. She didn't receive the stipend for the bilingual kids for that whole year. So she had to actually translate all the material from English to Spanish because they wouldn't give her the material. So then after that, she decided she's going to retire. That was too much work for her.
It is a lot of
I
work.
know it's a lot of work, and she would stay up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning putting the program and she was teaching kinder. So I could imagine, you know, the upper grades.
It is a lot of work. Definitely, I think, again, the district has done a tremendous job getting materials. Ms. Casey getting us the Bluebonnet Spanish pilot, Mrs. Espinosa getting us resources for RTI services for our students. But definitely, it still requires for teachers to do a lot of extra work in preparing, making sure that the instruction they are providing is authentic for the kids that they have in the classroom.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ferron. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Agenda item 6C, the board will be presented with a school safety audit for September 2025 and the submission of the Texas School Safety Center's district audit report tool information. Is this Chief or Dr. Hinojosa? Okay.
Good evening, Board President, Mr. Soto and Cabinet. So we had one audit this past month. I want to congratulate Wright Elementary for 0 findings. Great job. It's Mr. Martinez, I guess, is presenting right. That's all I have for this month. Any questions?
I have a question if I may, Mr. Soto. Okay, how many schools is it so far?
3.
Okay, we're gonna get there. We're gonna
Get in there, ma'am.
Yes.
But I do want to commend the community board members for our National Night Out. It was a great event, collaborating with the SAPD and the constable's office. It was great to have the community there. So thank you for coming out. That's one of our biggest events in the city, so it's been great.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, appreciate it.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Martinez.
really quick, Chief, before you leave, again, just want to commend you. I mean, it was my first time out there at that that National Neighborhoods Together. Good seeing everybody out there. Great job.
Yes, sir. Giving out those hot dogs is a lot of work, right?
Hey, I was out there wrapping them, sir.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 7, consent items. Do I have a motion?
Madam
Ms.
Chair,
Ortiz?
I move to approve consent items A through F.
Is there a second on Ms. Ortiz's motion?
Madam Chair, I second.
Mr. Martinez is second that. Okay, can we?
Madam
Oh,
Chair,
I'm sorry.
before the vote, just want to let the board know there's one minor typo correction on page 66. There's a reference to the previous board member, but it was Mr. Martinez that's there. So that's being corrected. And it's Mr. Martinez throughout the whole minutes with the exception of that one. It's just a minor little clarification.
Thank you for that. Can we open up the voting, please? This is for consent items 7A through F. Can we close the voting, please? Okay, agenda items 7A through 7F, motion passes. Okay. Moving on to individual items. This is agenda item 8A, discussion and possible action regarding approval of revisions of the board operating procedures. Mr. Resendez?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So what's been presented are all the changes and adjustments that the board discussed at your team building with Dr. Alvarado. So nothing's changed. They're all in there. Just keep in mind, there's also the guidance that we're gonna have the board operating procedures. You're gonna approve it if you approve it and sign that, and then the additional guidelines regarding the superintendent wellness. And then there's a couple policies that have been adjusted, they're local policies to be in compliance with your board operating procedures. So I have a motion if anybody, well, first, if there's any questions, do you have time to review them? Nothing changed other than what y'all recommended.
Yes, and Mr. Resendez did provide those red lines to us last week.
Yep.
So we all had a chance to look at them. This is not the first time. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I actually have a correction to make.
Okay.
Please. So this is on the superintendent's wellness that we're gonna put into place.
Have it right in front of me, yes.
And so on the guidelines on bullet point 1, it says input is encouraged from the board.
Oh, that will
Yes,
be taken out.
please.
Yeah, that
I
was,
think we all realized, along with Mr. Soto, that 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. was a good time frame.
yeah, I think it was in red to indicate that
Yes.
if y'all had any more input
Yes.
before it's finally approved.
Okay.
But yeah, that will be taken out. And the one I have, if y'all do approve it, doesn't have it. Yes,
Okay.
and it's ready to be signed.
Thank you. Anybody else? Because we all come prepared to our regular board meetings.
So I have a motion, if anybody wants to read it, it's typed and
Are we
written.
ready to move forward with a motion, or do we still need discussion?
Oh, Ms. Ortiz stepped away. She has any questions here.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Luna.
I just wanted to recognize that we are, as a board, we are responsible to the community. One of the, in our section of trustworthiness and stewardship says, I will be responsive to the community by seeking its involvement in district affairs and by communicating its priorities and concerns. So that's how I think I was mentioning during our discussion last week that how we are accountable to the community. So I think that's one point that needs to be made. And they should know.
Thank you, Mr. Luna. Anybody else? I'll make a quick comment. So because this board is on board with not only accountability to ourselves, but to each other, I had a board member call me this weekend. And that board member said, Ms. Cavazos, because we are accountable not only to ourselves, but to each other, I want to make you accountable. And I said, okay. And so she shared the information and I said, okay, let me explain. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. And so I said, I'll forward you all the information because I don't ever want anybody to wonder. And I thought that is such a good sign of us being not just accountable to ourselves, but to each other in a professional manner, in a respectful manner, and in a manner that I immediately felt comfortable to share the reasons why I made the comment. And I provided the information so there was no doubt on that board member's mind. So I'm so happy that we're all listening to what we're here to do, not just for student success, not just for the success of our superintendent, but the success for each of us as individuals and as a group of board. And so I was happy to get that call because that means we are working with each other and we're doing it in a very professional and respectful manner. And so kudos to everyone here listening to what needs to be done. So, Mr. Martinez.
Yes, Madam Chair. I move that we approve the revision to the board operating procedures, the related superintendent wellness and availability guidelines, and related district policy accordingly as presented and discussed.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Is there a second to Mr. Martinez's motion?
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Ms. Reese. We will go ahead and vote to approve or not approve our board operating procedures. I don't know what the tally is going to be at the end. Okay, so agenda item 8A, motion passes. Moving along, agenda item 9, convene in closed session is authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Sections 551.071 through 551.084. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
It's Ms. Ortiz.
I move that we convene in closed session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Sections 551.071 through 551.084 for discussion of items 9A through 9C.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Ms. Reese. We're going to open up the vote to convene in closed session. Okay, all votes are in. Motion to convene in closed session. Motion carries. It is now 7:39. Okay, thank you so much for patiently waiting for us. It is now 8:23. We are back in open session. Agenda item 9A, no action taken at this time. Agenda item 9B, is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Reese.
I move that the board approve the written contract presented for Kimberly Faircloth to receive a financial benefit for providing services outside of Harlandale ISD based on a determination that the contracts will not harm Harlandale ISD. The arrangement does not present a conflict of interest, and the services will be performed entirely on the administrator's personal time.
Thank you, Ms. Reese. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Ms. Salazar. We can open up the voting. Okay, voting has been completed. Voting is closed. We do have a motion carries on agenda item 9B. Agenda item 9C, no action taken at this time. Moving on to agenda item 11.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Reese.
I move that the Harlandale ISD Board of Trustees adjourn tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Reese. Do I have a second?
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Ms. Salazar. Mr. Martinez, did you want to say something before?
No, ma'am, I already did.
Okay,
Thank you.
can we open up the voting, please? Okay, voting is closed. We do have motion carries. Tonight's meeting, it is 8:25. Everybody have a very good evening. Thank you.